When we think of what is considered an abomination to God, we may think of lying lips or hands that shed innocent blood, just like the Bible says, and rightfully so. But there is one thing that the Bible says that is an abomination that oftentimes gets way overlooked. And we're going to talk about that today. But before we do, real quick, my name is Ethan Cody, and this is the Redeemed Pill, where my goal is to encourage you to use your God-given masculinity for His glory and for the greater good of those around you. But let's just hop right into it. This verse that we're going to be talking about this morning is Proverbs 11:1, and it says that dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is His delight. And so if you're asking yourself what exactly is a dishonest scale, so I picture it like those tipping scales, right? Where let's say you set the one side to 20 pounds, then you have the other side. Well, if you, whatever you're trying to weigh, if you put it in there and it falls and it looks like this, and this 20 pounds is up higher, you know that whatever you weighed is greater than 20 pounds. If it's the opposite, you know that whatever you weighed is less than 20 pounds. And if it's equal, you know that you have something that weighs exactly 20 pounds. And so the Lord calls us to have honest scales, honest measures. And it's not saying that our scales in our homes need to be accurate. What it's saying is that we need to have proper scales of justice. Not only do we need to know right from wrong, but we need to be able to weigh it. We need to be able to say exactly how wrong something is. So take the example, put in your scale sexual sin. We all know it, especially as men. We know that it's evil. We know that it can take control of a person's life, and we tend to weigh it very highly in terms of just the, for lack of a better word, the weight of that sin is so heavy. So if we're going to be honest with our scales of justice, we need to be able to put something else in this other side that we can determine is either going to be lighter or heavier, because contrary to some belief, not all sin is the same. Not all sin is equal. All sin it will separate you from God. That's true. But not all sin is worthy of the same punishment, certainly. And that's why if you look in the Old Testament law, some sins were awarded the death penalty and some were not. So there's definitely distinction within sin. So how does it look to have honest scales in our life? Well, I think if we need to be able to weigh our actions. So let's think about, like I use the example of sexual sin. And then what if on the other side of our scale, we had gluttony? And now when it comes, I think even the church in America, when it comes to gluttony, we have dishonest scales. We're not weighing it properly. We don't see that gluttony, likewise, is an abomination to God. And we don't even understand, like in 1 Corinthians, Paul talks about the Corinthian church, and I believe it was like kind of a thought or like philosophy of the day that like the stomach is for foods and food is for the stomach. And so basically it's like a YOLO type of thing, like just eat whatever you want and just, eat, drink, be merry. It's very much, relatable to our culture today, where we say, just live it up, just have fun, live while you're young, whatever you want to say. Well, Paul says about the stomach and about foods, God will destroy both it and them. I'm sorry, this isn't supposed to be a video about gluttony, but you get what I'm saying. Like, Paul says that, why do you fill your stomach with food? Why do you satisfy yourself and your belly has become your own God, when God's going to destroy it in the last days? God's going to destroy foods, and only only what matters eternally truly matters. So we don't have just weights, when it comes to gluttony. And so that would be a good example. Another thing would be like, let's say something smaller. And forgive me because I'm trying to think of an example, but well, even like dishonest scales, that's another thing where we don't think of it in its proper context. We don't weigh it properly. And so what ends up happening is you have your justice scales are out of whack. And then so as a father, and this is crucial, as a father who is trying to run your household, you cannot have dishonest scales. You cannot have unjust measures, because it is your responsibility to enact justice upon your children when they do wrong. And so if you see what they're doing, and oh man, don't get me started. How many times have you heard a father who is like, I don't want my daughter anywhere near any of the boys at school. Like, that's ridiculous. My daughter's never going to date until she's married, type of overprotection. And then on the same father will see his son getting with a bunch of girls, and he'll be like, that's my boy. This is dishonest scales. This is unjust measures. And when, as anyone, you can't lead yourself if you don't have a proper understanding of justice, and you certainly can't enact justice in your home when you yourself are not able to properly weigh justice and understand the weight of certain sins. And so don't be deceived. Be in the Word and understand the punishments for sin, and understand God's law, and delight yourself in it, just as David did. And like he said, your word I have hidden in my heart, that I might not sin against you. So if you want to have a just weight in life when it comes to justice, be like David, hide his word in your heart and meditate on it, and you will know it intimately like you ought to. Thank you for listening. Again, my name is Ethan Cody, and this is the Redeem Pill. And again, this channel only exists to encourage you to use your God-given masculinity for His glory and for the greater good of those around you. And if you like this style of video and this kind of proverb, I'm thinking about doing a daily proverb. So let me know what you think about that in the comments below. I'd love to hear your feedback. And again, just thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.